Hi guys, Blake and Ryan here with Lilleys Landing Resort and Marina on beautiful Upper Lake Taneycomo. It is November the 1st of 2020 and this is the one cast. Today we have boated up here. We are right across from the tennis court and we're gonna kind of float down the north bank and cast out towards the center. Generally, when I work jigs down through here, that's usually a pretty good gameplay, so we're going to try that today. Today I am throwing what I believe is 3 32nd ounce orange head sculp and feather jig on 4-pound test. Ryan is using a 3 32nd
1/8 ounce brown head.
1/8 ounce brown sculpin and ginger. And that is also on 4-pound test. And I'm going to turn the spot lock off here. Okay, let it get going. So, for the last, I think we're going on the 3rd day now of constant water, and they are planning on running it all day today and all tonight. Little bit different than what we've had for the last month. Had a lot of water off, and I think this is the first 3 days in a row we've had with the water turned on no matter what for quite a while. So I think that's, you know, whenever they get a consistent flow going, it helps out the fishing some, or helps out the bite. Fishing reports, we just drove by Captain Steve Dickey. He was floating just the bottom end of the trophy area there, and they were drifting scuds under an indicator, and he said the bite was really good. He said they're biting quick. Oh boy. But that they were catching some fish. Steve Rohrback, he's staying with us right now. Him and his son-in-law went out fishing this morning, and they were throwing, one of the jigs they were throwing that they were doing well on was the orange head sculp and feathers. So that is what prompted me to try one out here today. And they said they were fishing just a little bit above the narrows, down through the narrows. They also said they hooked into a really big fish that they fought for over 10 minutes that eventually threw the hook. Oh, Ryan's got, man, Ryan, you should have wore the camera, dang it. Ryan's got a fish on. Turn the camera here. Bring him over to me. There we go. Nice, that one's really speckled. And there we go. All right, well, no fish on the one cast for me, but Ryan got one on his first cast. And that was on the sculpin and ginger with a brown head, 1/8 ounce. Now we went with the heavier jigs today. They're only running 2000 CFS, but we went with the heavier jigs because the wind is really blowing. Especially when we get down around this corner, it's really ripping. So in order to keep the jig down on the bottom, you really got to put some extra weight behind it. So we went with the 3 32nd and the 1/8 ounce. Not very many boats on the water today. It has warmed up to be a pretty nice day. I'd say we have temperatures in the, I don't know, 60 degrees right now. It's a beautiful sunny day. Last night I took a cousin fishing, and we did the night fishing. We went up to the dam. They were running the water, so we were able to get up there and fish. The bite was pretty good. We wound up catching about 40 fish, and almost all the fish were 17 and 18 inches long. Really fun night. The fish were kind of spotty last night though. They'd hit for 10 minutes or so, and then they'd turn off for 10 or 15 minutes, and then it just stayed like that the whole night. They didn't really have a specific color pattern that they were hitting either. The night before that, they really hit the French pearl all night, and they hit pretty consistent for about 3 hours, and then they kind of turned off. And last night it was just off and on, and they were switching what color they wanted. But we still did pretty good. A lot of the time you can come up around this bend by the tennis court, and for some reason the wind really doesn't rip through this specific spot, but once you go right past the golf course it picks back up. But if you're ever trying to get out of the wind up here, this little corner is pretty good for that. I did set the fly rod up again today, and I know I tried that egg pattern yesterday. I kind of want to try it again here if I don't get any bites on my jig. But this time I put 2 different colors on, 2 different sizes of egg. And I just want to try dialing that in. There was a 24-inch brown yesterday, I believe, caught on an egg pattern. I imagine there's a lot less boats on the water today because the Chiefs game is happening right now. Oh my gosh. I'm getting better with this foot pedal, but I'm still not 100%. Kind of drifted out into the zone where I want to be fishing at, so I want to pull us back over towards the bluff. Might even turn the nose down this way. That'll keep the camera out of the sun, and I'll be able to keep the boat scooted down. Do what? Yeah, and Ryan won't step on my fly rod. So right out here in front of this golf course is a pretty long flat. kind of starts right there at the bottom end of the tennis court and goes past where you can see the golf course. But out towards the center here, it starts to drop down into the channel. Oh, and the fish like to hold right there, and there's one right there. And the boat was drifting right over the top of that, so wanted to get us come here. All right, here's one there. That's real pretty. Not nearly as many spots as the last one though. You do have to be careful over here on this side. If you get too close to this golf course, you will hit your prop if you're cruising up here. I am seeing some fish cruising here on the flat. That's a good sign. There was a while, for about a month there, we just really weren't seeing many fish in here in this area. Seeing a lot more of them condensed down at the narrows. Hey, Ryan had a swing and a miss. Now if I was drifting something like my egg pattern or a scud, I would probably scoot out closer into the channel and just drift it right next to the boat. Man, there's some nice trout floating right underneath us. Then I would go out with the boat and drift the indicator close to the boat over that channel. But since we're throwing these jigs, we scoot closer over to this side and throw out into the channel. Seems kind of like today, like that last fish I just caught. I'd paused off a little bit longer, and the jig had touched the bottom and was probably there for a second when he bit it. So it seems like they're wanting it right on the bottom. If you watch your line really closely, it'll kind of cruise out across the water, and whenever that bait hits the bottom, the line will lay back down across the water. And that's just kind of a indicator of whether you've hit the bottom or not that you can be looking for. That water that we're casting to right now is probably not any deeper than 6 or 7 foot, so it doesn't take a heavy jig too long to get down there. And then if you see your line do something other than sinking the way it's supposed to, you can probably bet that you have a fish latching on. Past the golf course, and here comes the wind. Might have to stay on the foot pedal here and keep us drifting at the right speed. So now that I'm in the wind, I'm going to do my best to keep my line all the way down on top of the water. That'll keep the wind from pulling the line and keeping the jig from sinking. So I just kind of bring it up, pop it, and I lay my rod tip real close to the water. Another thing you can do is cast forward of the wind. That way your jig swings back this way as the boat gets slowed down. And that'll allow it to sink as well. There's one. Wow, that wind is kicking. A little fatter. Ow. There we go. Take the wind long to push the boat around. So I really wasn't popping that much off the bottom. Almost kind of like jerking it across the bottom, which, if you've ever seen a sculpin fish, the way they move across the bottom, they'll dart to one rock and they'll set behind that rock and they wait and they'll move to the next one. Real small movements, so sometimes just imitating the way those sculpins work across the bottom can work pretty good. That is a big source, a big diet of the trout out here, are those little sculpin fish that live here. Oh, there was one. I thought something was funny. Dang it. Swing and a miss for me. This next week is supposed to warm up considerably. We have temperatures back in the 70s again. Perfect weather for getting out on the lake. Man, that wind is hard to jig fish in. But it's right dead center of the middle of the day, and Ryan's got another one on. And they're biting the jig pretty good. Fighting fair. That one's got a little more meat on him. Bring him over to me. Sometimes those littler fish, a big fish doesn't always mean a big fight, and that little guy was putting up a heck of a fight. Oh dear. I think I freaked the foot pedal out there for a second. I spun it too far and it auto corrected itself. It looks like Captain Steve is just starting right there above the Narrows, and he's floating down the north side. I never do too good over there on that north side. I guess that's just me. I haven't done a whole lot of jig fishing this summer. Oh, there goes a bald eagle. I hope we got that on camera. That was cool. But it's always really fun whenever they're biting it good. Of jigs under floats this summer, but I haven't done a lot of just working the jig. So without coaxing the boat forward in the wind, the jig's getting pulled forward with the current. You got another one? Yeah, Ryan's on fire. Just keep the camera pointed at you. This one looks like he's starting to turn over his red stripe for mating, which some of them are getting those mating colors already. People are gonna have motion sickness from me turning the camera today. think they're really liking it on the bottom. I feel like all the fish I've caught so far today have picked it up from the bottom versus picking it up when it's in the process of sinking back down. All right, this is another one. That sculpin and ginger might be a little hotter than my orange head here. I'm just going to try to really let it set on the bottom here. Yeah, the wind is blowing strong enough to push us against the current, so I'm really having to remember to keep us going with the trolling motor here. Ryan sneaking up on me. Yeah, they're putting up a pretty good fight today, so I'm thinking the oxygen levels are probably pretty good. Whenever you get that fish off, just turn the camera back up here, even though it should probably stay back on you. Oh, try to hold them out over the water when you do that. Alright, I think we're going to go just a second longer and call it a day. I'd say it's been a pretty successful 30 minutes of jig fishing. That was a fish. Alright, I'm calling this my last cast. I might get hooked up in that stump over there. that's it for me. Well, we thank you guys for watching. Like and share us on Facebook, and we will do it again for you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Oop, that camera was pointing down a little bit there.